How's everybody's this evening? Good. Trying to stall a little bit, let the kitchen crew get in here. But they'll be in. Are they coming, Tyler? They working on it. Everybody having a good week? Yep. It's great. It's great. Yeah. Speaking of it, I think we got a birthday coming this Friday. Is that what I heard? No, he don't want to own up to it, does he? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. How old we gonna be? Mm, happy birthday in advance. Yes, sir. Oh yeah, when we got it? Today? Yesterday? Happy belated birthday. Great. That's great. uh, we did, we just keep living. It's gonna happen. Hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. Anybody had a blessing this week? Tell me about it, sir. Every day you wake up. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. All right. They get close. Penny coming in the door. Sir, am I hiring? You ready? You don't want a job. Okay. Yeah. That's a loaded question in my business. I got to tread lightly when I answer that. Yeah, yeah. All right, we'll get started here. They'll be in here in a minute. So, had a pretty good week so far. Uh, me and Ty kind of seem to pick on Jimmy about short notice, and but you're supposed to be prepared in season and out of season. So, as I realized who my friend is and who my pastor is, I'm trying to be more prepared. And uh, no hard feelings for him against him or anything like that. It's all good. He told me he was sorry, and I told him or Jesus, neither one was sorry. Just to go on about his business, we'd take care of it tonight. So anyway, I had a really good weekend. Got to be part of a wedding Saturday. My sister got remarried uh, for the third time, but I will say this: this is the first time she's ever been married to a godly man. So he believes in Jesus with all his heart, speaks Jesus, had been married previously for 27 years. 7 years ago, his wife died of cancer. Said he never again. He's 60, I guess he's 61. She's the same way. After her last divorce, she was done, through. And as I got to witness this go on for the past, I guess it's been 2.5 years, they courted. And, you know, it speaks in Exodus, Ecclesiastics, I'm sorry, of timing. That's all I could think about driving down there was timing. Everything's in God's timing. And so met with them there that night, and we talked, and they was uh, they was digging pretty good, wanting to know what I was going to share on, where I was going. They was prying. They wanted a little prelude to what was going to happen. and I wasn't going to give it to them. But I sit and listen to them, and confirmation after confirmation after confirmation of what I was fixing to share with them was there. I mean, it was unbelievable how it fell out. And about 9 o'clock there, we broke away and all went to our sleeping establishments. And I got in the Word, and it just settled in. And y'all have all witnessed me up here being uncomfortable as a cat in some rocking chair room. You know what I'm talking about? And I did get emotional for a stint. But my emotion wasn't for my sister or for him witnessing what God would put together in a timely manner, according to him. It was just the raw emotion of that coming together in that moment. So we'll go there. And this is what I shared with them. Ecclesiastes 3. Holler when we get there. No hurry. You spell it, Jason? All right. 3. It says, there's a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to tear down, and a time to build, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search, and a time to give up, a time to keep, and a time to throw away, a time to tear, and a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, and a time for war, a time for peace. You got to realize he'd been married for 27 years and lost his wife. You don't think he'd had every one of these emotions go through him? Every one of them. And then she's been married twice. Don't think she ain't lived all those emotions? Every one of them. And while I was preparing for all that, you know, you can Google just about anything in this old world, and they give you lessons on how to do a wedding and whatnot. And everything I got was the first love wedding stuff, you know. And I hate to tell them I wasn't gonna do that. They done been down that course. And so after Friday night, that's what I come up with. And then you go to final share with them out of the book. You go to Ecclesiastes 5 and 9. It says two are better than one because they have good for their return, their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other. But pity on anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. Now, I wish y'all could see in their faces when this last come over. But a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. So with them being in accordance with God and putting God in their marriage to start with, I don't see any failure in it whatsoever. They've already walked the walk prior to that. They're not marrying for lust or love or money. They are marrying for love, but you know where I'm going with that. But it wasn't put together for any selfish reasons other than a timing and love. And I just thought it was amazing to witness all that. So anyway, I was sharing on my weekend. We'll get on to what we're supposed to be talking about. If you go to Exodus 14:3. So everybody knows the story of Moses and getting the part in the waters and all that. 14:13. I'm sorry. So they're gathered up and they're kind of pinned down. They got the pharaohs coming at them, and the Israelites are in a panic, and they're out lashing out to Moses. And Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." How many people have troubles with that? Woo, got a good raise of hand. Yeah, that is very tough. Very tough. I could, if they just had some foresight of what's coming after this right here, to know that the path was fixing to be open and they're going to be walking on a dry bed with water on either side of them, I bet they wouldn't have had a gripe in the world. They would have. But they did not know any of that. And through the days or your years, there's so many paths that are opened up before you, just like what we're fixing to read right here. And you're going to deem them as a miracle of God, and hopefully they are. But there's so many paths that can be opened up by what you deem as godly people, and it's not. It's not. And I get it all the time. People setting you up for failure. So uh, the BBC, Bubba Before Christ. Uh, you get all these spam deals, and I don't know how. I know how they do it. They share your information. If you ever write it down on a piece of anything, they share your information, and then you go getting emails and phone calls, and y'all know the whole story. But anyway, they go to emailing me. How about a small business loan? Yada yada yada. Well, the little evil one in me before Christ is still in me that I got to keep suffocated. You know, you can't help but think of how to beat that system. You know, there's got to be a way I can come up with some false documentation and a bank account and get them to stick that money in there, and then I could run like the Dickens. You know, there's always something wanting to lead you astray. Always. When I was growing up, we was fortunate, and family had cattle and scared all over the place. And I will say, cattle are different today than they were when I was growing up. They are, you just simply say it, they're spoiled, kind of like us. We pinned them with dogs. It was pretty rough going. And they still do it that way, but I'm going to say 80% of people pin them with a cuber now. But when we would pull up these places, and a lot of our family didn't believe in much fence work, so it was pretty sketchy. Pins were sketchy. But we could pull up there and be 6 gooseneck loads of us, and we go to get out. And everybody knew the pasture we was in, and they knew the lead cow that was going to give us trouble. It didn't matter what group of cattle you went to work. There was always one, and generally she was high-headed and got horns about that long. And she'd see you and throw her head up, and away she'd carry everybody else away from the path that you choose them to be on. Gone. So if you knew that in advance, you could take that lead cow and you could trap her, you could trick her. And we always had a plan to be able to solve that problem with the lead cow. But the problem is once we got the lead cow in the pen, who's the first thing we wanted out? The lead cow. We wanted her out because she wasn't going to do nothing but cause havoc in that pen. But most of the time she would go to the back and stand around there and cause havoc. And that's what people do in your life. They lead you into those situations that causes havoc. You think you're in a great place. You're walking down through there, water on both sides, and what a great path I'm on. This person has led me into. And it just don't work. Next thing you know, the walls are collapsing. You're dog paddling. And next thing you know, you're full-blown swimming. And then you just can't get your breath. All because you followed somebody down the wrong path. So, just read on. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on. Raise your staff and stretch it out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them and will gain the glory through Pharaoh and his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh and his chariots and his horsemen." So God's going to make an example out of it, and he knows he's fixing to make an example out of it. And do you not think that people that lead you down and lead you astray, if they're that willing to pull you in, don't think they won't be wanting to make an example out of it. Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to one side and light to the other side. So neither went near to the other all night long. And then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all the light the Lord drove. And all night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind, and then turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, and the Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horses, men followed them into the sea during the last watch of the night. The Lord looked down from the pillar and fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving, and the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them and against them." So at that point, if we're where we're supposed to be in life, and we realize we're on the wrong path, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to call out, rebuke what's going on, tell the Lord, hey, I'm in a bad situation, and I need some help. These people realized the Lord was on their side, and they knew it was too late for them. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea, so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back into place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen and the entire army. Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea, not one of them survived. You know, sometimes you wish people had a ball cap when they set it on their head. It really said actual their thoughts when they're telling you stuff. You know, Jimmy's got a gift, and we all know that he reads people pretty good. Good Lord's given him that gift to be able to read people. But there's so many times in my dealings, I wish I had that sign to get that quick read of what they're saying or what they're thinking. It's so hard to judge somebody the way they're talking because they can sugarcoat. You know, the way I have learned to read people is to watch people. JC, he hires on, tells me he can run anything under the sun. If it's yellow, brother, I can run it. I can't doubt him one bit. What am I going to do? I'm going to put him on something yellow and put him something complicated in front of him, and I'm going to turn him loose. If I'm working on it in 30 minutes, my guess is you probably can't run everything under the sun. Right, JC? You ever witnessed that? I know it's hard to walk through life on a daily basis and to know where you stand, but not know where the other people stand. That's why it's so great about a church. It's what I've learned. I was the guy that hunting and fishing and all that. I find God on the water. I find God in the deer stand. Wherever I'm at, God's with me. And that is a fact. But there is something about having God in your heart and coming and settling in with a crowd of people that have God in their heart. And it rubs off on you. It's just like it says, iron sharpens iron. It causes us to be better. Jason's kind of new to this deal, but he said he didn't understand it. Why certain people's attracted to him. I mean, I'm not going to call them out because they might be watching. It's okay. They know what I'm talking about. But people see your walk and how you carry yourself and your mannerisms, and they're attracted to it. And then they figure out what lines you up to have that walk and those mannerisms, and they find out it's Jesus. And the next thing he knows, he's sharing Jesus with somebody that hadn't given it a thought whatsoever, been the furthest place from Jesus, been through a world of bad stuff, and it's laid out before him. And it's all because he's willing share it. He carries himself in that manner, and therefore, that's why they're drawn to you. I didn't tell you that, though. Yeah, yeah. Mm. This this stuff is, I guess the reason I really don't like talking is because I don't want to mislead anybody about anything, ever. And if I do ever mislead y'all or tell y'all something you don't like, come up here and tell me and we'll straighten it out. But this little old job here, it's not a Wednesday, it's not a Sunday job. It's a full-time gig. Full-time gig. It ain't just a full-time gig for the preacher. We need to make it a full-time gig. Every time we put our hand to something, we need to have Jesus and God in our hearts and our minds, and it makes everything just flow so much better. I've come I've come to the being good enough about it. If I'm rolling up to a stop sign, just like I did today, a red light, it's red, and I'm rolling up there, and about the time you're supposed to stop, it pops green. I look both ways, roll on. Thank you, Jesus. The simplest things, you give him thanks for. You'll give him thanks for the hard things too. Bad times, and you're still calling on them. I just can't even imagine being married for 27 years and that just getting separated. We've been married about near 30, and even putting my foot back in the swimming pool to even think about finding another spouse. I couldn't even fathom that. But for the Lord to line it up that way and clear that path, it just amazed me how all that worked out. So, I don't know what y'all got out of that tonight, if anything. Anybody got anything to share of their path? So we'll take it. David? Well, thank y'all for coming. Uh, y'all keep our pastor in your hearts, your prayers. He's fine. I will tell you his wagon's loaded, and a lot of it be self-inflicted. But it's okay. God's got him, and I know he's got him. Just like God's got this church. So thank y'all for coming. Close in prayer. Lord, thank you for letting us gather here tonight. Ask that someone needed to hear what you brought. Ask you to give us all safe travels on our way back home. Ask you to bless these folks the rest of their week. In Jesus' name, amen.